I was a hairstylist before I got into real estate with tons of debt. Real estate has changed my life. I just turned to social media and just started making videos, and my business completely changed from there. And I went from selling on average 10 million a year to selling 50 plus million a year consistently. And I would say that I get about a third of my business through social media. Sometimes when people make content, they're so focused on what they're trying to get across that it almost comes off awkward. And I just want to talk to you and be like, hey, by the way, if you leverage your equity, you could do X, Y, and Z. The same way my husband did, and we bought Airbnbs, and it's part of the reason how he got out of debt quicker. And I just want to help people like me, just normal people with normal income. And so it's easy for me to talk to her. And I called it my 5-5-5 rule. Every morning I do 5 DMs, 5 comments, and then
you were a hairstylist before you got into real estate, and you started that with $50K in debt and credit cards, $100K in small business loans. Now you have 0 debt and multiple properties. You sell over 50 million a year, but you didn't always sell 50 million.
No.
How did you go from doing 10 million a year to 50 million?
Yeah, so basically I was a hairstylist before I got into real estate with tons of debt. Real estate has changed my life. But from growing my business from 10K to 50K a year really started actually during the pandemic. I went from being in a salon, I was doing real estate part-time, doing hair part-time. I knew I needed to get out of the hair industry. The debt, I knew there was never a way out of it. There's only so much hair you can do. You can only upcharge your prices so much for the area. I only have 2 hands. I can only double book so much. And I knew I had to get out, so I started doing real estate. And just as a way my grandparents were both realtors. And so then the pandemic happened, and I was used to, I thrive in chaos, and I was used to, being in the salon with my 8 clients a day and having 10 stylists in there who had 8 clients, and just walking around and being like an entertainer and talking to everyone, and then going on the weekends and evenings and showing property, to being alone in my house. I also found out I was pregnant the week before the shutdown. So huge lifestyle change. And I was just sad and lonely. I'm an extrovert, and I was almost borderline depressed. And I just turned to social media and just started making videos and just putting them on my social media. And if you look back at my old videos, they're so cringy. I'm in my kitchen, my phone's propped up on a book before I could even order a tripod. And I just started talking about the real estate process and, what a HELOC is, what it means to refinance, and just things that people don't know. And I just started blowing up. And then I realized that people don't really care so much about that. You only care about that if you're in the middle of refinancing your home. Yeah. Otherwise, you don't care. So I just started kind of storytelling and bringing people along with me, and, watching me, how I set up my signs, or, how I climbed on top of a trash can in my high heels to get through a window because the agent before me accidentally took the key home out of the lockbox, and I was going to show my clients that home no matter what. And my business completely changed from there. And I went from selling on average 10 million a year to selling 50 plus million a year consistently. And I would say that I get about a third of my business through social media.
And I want to dive into the social media, but really quick, I was curious, your family was in real estate. Did you ever think you wanted to get in it, or?
No, so my grandparents were in real estate. My parents were both your typical Silicon Valley tech people and completely weren't entrepreneurs. So that's what was instilled in my brain. You have to go to college, you have to go to college. And both my brother and sister did. And I'm I want to be a hairstylist. Actually, I'm going to pivot and sell real estate. And my dad's always you should have been a lawyer. You can argue with anyone. And I'm well, I think I do better in real estate than I would being a lawyer, but it was never actually even on my radar. I actually got into real estate on a whim. I actually had to have surgery, and because doing hair is so physical, I was sitting at home and was what would happen if I ever lost an arm? That's dramatic, but that's me. And I couldn't physically do work. If you aren't working in hair, you're not getting paid. Yeah. And there's ways to leverage real estate and different careers where if you're not physically there, you can have someone, a showing assistant, someone go show, and you can't really do that in hair. Sure, you could be a salon owner, but that's not as lucrative as actually physically doing hair. So I got into real estate because I was afraid that what if I couldn't ever physically do hair and I had nothing to fall back on.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when you started doing like content, you, as you said, like you were learning it, figuring it out. Like what have you kind of learned, especially now looking back on like the videos that you want to create?
Yeah. I feel like for me, when it comes to content or really anything, just go. I feel like so many people are constantly preparing to be ready and just figure it out as you go. I feel like the saying fake it till you make it is kind of cringy too, because you want someone who knows what they're doing to help you buy your house. But when it comes to content creation, just do it. And in the beginning, I remember when I first started, like family members being like, what are you doing? No one's gonna take you seriously. Like if you're on social media making these videos, and people kind of laugh at you until it works, and you kind of figure it out as you go. And you realize as you're doing it, what people are responding to. So at first, I was just making videos just to get out there and get connected. I just wanted to talk to people because I was so lonely at home. And then you start realizing what people like and what they're responding to, and you start doing more of that and you pivot. And so now I rarely talk about real estate. I show like day in the life, or if I'm at broker's tour, and of course I post my just listed. But for the most part, I'm talking about me like puttering around in my garden. I'm talking about me like, teasing my husband or my kids. And that's really actually where I get the most engagement.
And there's kind of like a saying, it's like a personal brand. It's personal.
Yeah.
And like, especially as a realtor, like showing your personal life, your family, like what's your thought on that in your content versus like some people might not always be as like open for that?
Yeah. I feel like people are going to want to work with people that they trust, right? That's really, really what it is. It's not, sure, some people, if they have like a really specific need or a specific type of like property, and maybe there's someone who specializes in that. But for the most part, people want to work with someone that they trust. They can call if they have a question, if they think it's a silly question. And so for me, I find that I work now with people that are like me because I put myself out there so much that I don't have clients where I'm like, I don't want to go meet that client today. And in the beginning, when I first started, I remember sometimes driving to appointments and just having clients that completely were different and not like kind of just dreading the appointment. Kind of like, when you dread a workout and then after you do it, you feel really good. Like it, yeah. Kind of like that. And now I literally can't wait to go meet my clients because I've attracted people who are like me. The amount of times I get told when I actually meet a client in person for the first time and they hug me and they're like, I feel like I already know you is so... You've already broken that barrier where you just can casually talk and feel comfortable. So that's really helped me.
Yeah, it's nice when you put out stuff that shows who you are, you end up attracting people just like you. So,
yep.
And it's a lot easier to work with them. So
yeah, well, even too in like all my colleagues and professionals, not just clients. I've put myself out there so much that now my best friends I've met through social media and, my video person and my stager and everything. I mean, even my power washing person I met through social media. And you put yourself out there and you really kind of attract your people and your group and people who have the same vision as you and the same goals as you. And the more you put out there, I feel like the more you attract what it is that you want.
And something that you've done is kind of like in a form of like digital door knocking in a way. And you're kind of like finding your neighbors digitally too.
Yep.
Is there like a strategic thought around now, like what type of videos you create, or is it kind of you come up with the ideas and you're like, oh, I just want to do this?
So that's actually such a good question because I actually teach that a lot is that when you door knock, right? You're not going to go door knock one neighborhood, like two houses in this neighborhood, and then go over and then go do a luxury house and then maybe an apartment and then stop by a commercial building. You're going to hyper focus on one specific neighborhood and you're going to knock as many doors in that neighborhood. And then you're going to get as many listings in that neighborhood and you start popping up and people see you. Yeah. So for me, when I do my videos, I don't have a specific type of video that I'm trying to recreate, but I have a specific person that I'm talking to. So every video I do, whether it's on my feed, in my story, story, anything, I have a specific person I'm talking to. I know what they look like. They have a name, everything, because I'm going to talk to that person the exact same way. So I come off more genuine, and it's someone I feel really comfortable talking to. So like, I'm not going to talk to my kid's teacher the same way I'm going to talk to my grandpa, the same way I'm going to talk to one of my friends. So I have a specific person that I'm speaking to. And so no matter whether I'm talking about a HELOC or I'm talking about my new dress or my kids, arguing at 6 a.m. in the morning, I'm talking to one person, and it comes off the same tone and same energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So like, example for you, like, who is that?
So it's my best friend. I call her Ducky. I've known her since I was in 6th grade. She's my age, but more specifically, it's the type of person I'm speaking to. I'm not really working with like new first-time home buyers. I'm not really working with, downsizers. I'm working with someone who's my age, mid-30s, who wants to leverage real estate, who's already maybe bought in a home, so has experience in the real estate world, but maybe wants to, leverage their equity in their house to buy an investment property, or someone with like just kind of an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to build passive income. So I'm talking to someone who's similar to where I'm at in my life, and it's that specific person. They're married, they maybe have a couple kids, they want a way out, they want passive income, they want to build generational wealth, and it's like that specific person I'm talking to.
So do you like literally think of Ducky like every time?
Every single time I make a video. I've never told her that before. Hi, Ducky. She's going to laugh if she sees this. Every single time I film a video, I see her face. I'm talking to her because I'm more comfortable with her than anyone in the world. So I don't care what I say, and I'm just so comfortable. But yes, every video I film, I'm talking to her. Every single video I film, I'm talking to her. That's awesome though, just because when you're thinking of that, you're like, oh, I know exactly what I would say to her. I know like what she wants. It's like it just makes it easier to kind of think through like what to say too. Yeah, and I'm just so comfortable, and I feel like sometimes when people make content, they're so focused on what they're trying to get across that it almost comes off awkward. And I just like want to talk to you and be like, hey, by the way, if you leverage your equity, you could do X, Y, and Z. The same way my husband did, and we bought Airbnbs, and it's part of the reason how he got out of debt quicker. We leveraged what we had and the money we did have to make more money. And I just want to help people like me, just normal people with normal incomes, go and do that. And so it's easy for me to talk to her. Yeah, and we can touch on the Airbnb stuff. Yeah. But I was curious, you also, like, you probably see it, like agents want to work anywhere and everywhere. Yeah. They say, oh, I don't care wherever the client is, I'll do deals. Yeah. And you've gone pretty hyper-local in Livermore. Yep. What are your thoughts on like hyper-local versus I'm just going to work with whoever I can? I feel like there is definitely a pivot in your life that needs to happen. So I'll relate it to when I did hair. When I first started doing hair, I would take any and every client because I wanted to build up my clientele. Yep. And then when I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to do men's haircuts, or I don't want to do, I hated doing like bridal updos. Like I just didn't want to do it. And so when you get to a point where you're like, I'm going to take the clients I want to take, you get really good at that kind of client. And then you attract and you enjoy that kind of client. So then you just start leveraging, and people start coming to you as the specialist. So when I first started real estate, I would go anywhere. I drive to Sacramento. That's 2 hours from here. Now I'm like, it's crazy. And now I'm always like, I will work within an hour radius if it's like a client from, a past client, a client of mine. Anywhere over an hour, you are honestly doing yourself and your client a disservice. Yeah. Getting out there for showings, getting the connections, not knowing the agents, not knowing a home inspector out there or a cleaning service out there. So I feel like it's a choice, and it's a choice I've made to have a better work-life balance. I have 2 young kids at home, and I don't have that luxury anymore of being able to work 24/7. I also don't want to work 24/7. Yeah. I've done it. I don't think it's healthy. And so it's about choosing what you want, to the kind of clients you want to work with, and then becoming really good at that. And if you don't know what kind of client you want to work with, I always tell agents, think of your 3 favorite transactions you've ever had. What did they have in common? Were they all first-time home buyers? Was it all new construction? Was it all luxury? Was it, and think of what they had in common, and then that's probably the kind of clients you want to work with.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the times any industry, whether it's like media, marketing, real estate, you can like a lot of the 90% is the same thing.
Yep.
But it's once you get so good, it's like the small details. It's like that 1% difference that makes a world of a difference in the actual experience for the client too.
Yep. So I always say, I've said this so many times, but I feel like we live in a world where everybody's constantly trying to reinvent everything. You know, we got shows like Shark Tank, which there's some great inventions on there, I'm not going to lie. And you have, you know, people constantly, and we have AI that's changing so rapidly, which you should also be using AI in your business at this point. But the reality is that the real estate industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry designed to make people rich. At least I think so. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to be a little bit faster on the wheel or have your wheel greased up really smooth and do it better than anybody else. And that's exactly what you're saying, like that little 10% you're doing different. Just follow the formula, but be better at it, or be faster, be the first to respond, have the best closing gifts. If open houses are your thing, make people want to come to your open house, make it a party, have music playing, like make it a vibe. Just be the best at what you do, and you're gonna get, just naturally, you're gonna shine more than the rest.
Yeah, and you mentioned AI. How are you kind of using AI in your business?
So I'm very controlling. And so I have a hard time letting go of control. So I was a little late to the AI game. I use it a lot now. I use it for prompts for social media content. Nice. I use it to help me polish up emails to clients. I use it to set my goals so I plug in my goals, but like break it down. I'm very big on goals, and when you have a big goal, which I have big goals, and you can break it down, you know, monthly, weekly, even daily, what you need to do. So I use AI, obviously, you know, any listing descriptions, virtual staging. I mean, you can essentially not use it for anything, but I use it anything that I'm willing to let go of control of.
Yeah, the nice thing is like AI can get you from 0 to like 80%.
Yeah.
And the big difference is then also coming back in. Like, do you come back in at the end and be like, okay, let me like touch up this email or touch up this post?
Oh, of course. If anything, it's more like it gives me the idea, and then I go through and change it because I want it to sound like me. And AI obviously is so advanced now, it can sound like you, but I still want it. And I also, control freak, again, I reread my emails probably like 3 times before I send them. And so I do go back in. At the end of the day, AI can't replace us, and everyone's all scared. And I think so many people are scared to implement it and use it because they're against it, because they feel like it's going to replace us. And it's not. At the end of the day, you can't hug your client who's crying because her husband's job is transferring them and she just brought her baby home into that house. And AI can't, you know, look that client in the eye and be like, I've been there, I've brought babies home to a home myself and left that home, and I know exactly what you're going through. So you should definitely be using it to utilize yourself, so then you can go out there and be more forward facing with the clients and have somebody else make your flyer for you. I don't need to be sitting by my desk for an hour making a flyer when AI can do it in 3 seconds, and I can go be with clients and be talking to them.
Yeah, and it would kind of be like saying AI replaces like it would be like the internet replaces like shopping, or the internet would have replaced real estate agents, which it didn't. No. It just changed how real estate was done. Exactly. Instead of using a yellow book, you went on Zillow.
Yep, exactly. Or like shopping. I mean, I used to go in the mall for hours and shop, and now I shop more because I can have everything delivered to my home, try it all on, and whatever I don't like, leave on my doorstep and have them pick it up and ship it back. So if anything, the advances have made I feel like it's made us be able to produce faster and more. I feel like I can sell
exactly.
more now. Let's go.
It just lets you do more business.
Exactly. Thank you, AI. Now I'm going to sell twice as much this year. But truly, it just utilize it to yourself, and then you go in and be there where your clients need you. Help them strategize how to negotiate a counter offer. Help them find out which, investment property is going to generate them the most money. Sure, AI can help you with numbers, but what is the riskiest? What is the least riskiest? You need to be that voice to tell your clients. That's what we do. We have the experience, and let's let AI do all the paperwork and stuff behind the scenes.
Exactly. So you do a ton of marketing, like across the board. It's like you have the traditional stuff, like you're in a magazine, you're on Instagram. Like if you were to look at all of the marketing that you do, what would you say are like, okay, here's the places where it makes sense for agents to invest their time, their money, and maybe places that haven't worked out as well for you?
Yeah, so I'm not a cold caller. I ramble a lot. My energy is scattered. I feel like I'm really good in person, so I'm never gonna be a cold caller. I'm also never gonna door knock. If you knock on my door and my dog starts barking and my babies are sleeping, I'm gonna be pissed. And so I'm never gonna knock. I'm also in heels 24/7, and I'm just not gonna walk around like that. So I feel like too, it works really well for some people, and I'm not knocking on it. Yeah. I think you should pick 3 things that you really like and do those and do them well. So for me, it's social media, and then it's my database, my people, my sphere of influence. And then I do I farm an area. So the magazine, print and stuff like that, but it's mostly hyper-focused in Livermore, the town that I live in. They all work really well, but I will say this, it's mostly for brand recognition. Where my superpower is my relationship with my people. Numbers, followers do not equal business. I actually have fewer followers compared to most people in my position. I'm what you would consider a micro influencer, so weird to even say that. But I am in my DMs every single day. In fact, anytime I've ever hired out for some of my social media, people doing my videos or whatever, I've had people offer to respond to the DMs, and I'm like, no, you cannot take that away from me. I want to be in there. I want to every single day probably talk to at least 30 plus people in my DMs. And I do it in the morning when I wake up. I purposely set my alarm 30 to 45 minutes before I need to get up, and I get on my phone and I look, and then I do it in the evening after I get my girls to bed, and I sit down on my couch and I look through, and I truly talk to people. And this is a people business. And so you have to talk to people.
So do you strategic, there's probably a little strategy, a little intention around how you engage a conversation. It's not always about real estate. It's you probably see something that's oh, I can start a conversation with this, or let me continue the conversation. How do you think about that?
It's actually never about real estate.
Yeah.
I would never in a million years DM somebody about real estate. In fact, I don't even if I'm at a dinner party, tell people I'm a realtor. If it comes up, I'm like, yeah, I sell houses. But I DM people. I want to just talk to people. Mostly, I just actually like talking to people. So this career works really well for me. Yeah. But for an example, if someone posts that they're at a restaurant that I love, I'm not going to DM them yum or DM them because where does that land you? That's a dead end comment, right? Or just heart it. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite restaurants. I always get blah, blah, blah. What did you order? And so then it leaves it open and you're talking to people. And so it's more just about genuinely trying to just be curious and keep the conversation going. And I can't tell you, and I feel when they say, if you're silent, people will fill the space. Example right now, you're silent, I'm just filling the space with nonsense. It's the same way, for whatever reason, because people know I'm in real estate because I post my listings. Whenever I'm in someone's DM talking about a restaurant, all of a sudden they'll be like, by the way, I've been meaning to connect you with my uncle who needs to sell his house. It happens all the time. And it just naturally flows in because I'm not hounding them for that business. Yep. So, and then of course I'm going to jump on that and follow up on that. So, but it's, I don't ask for that business.
But it's smart. It's for example, the restaurant, like you give your personal and then you lead it with a question to like, okay, I'm not going to just have a dead end like conversation. It's like, I'm going to do something that prompts a little bit more as well.
Yeah. And of course, naturally the conversations fade out and then you post another story and it comes back in. But you have to like have real genuine connections. So like commenting on someone's photo, like love it, or heart emoji or fire emoji, it's not prompting a conversation. It's showing support for that person. Sure. And sometimes, of course, I do that. It's necessary. Like someone posts a fire selfie and I'm like, fire. But sometimes I want to keep the conversation open and go, and that's truly what it's about. But I genuinely like want to know what they ordered. So I'm like, am I ordering the wrong thing? Do I have entree envy? Did you get the better dish? Like I need to know. And so, and I'm mostly just a nosy person. It really works. It really helps me in this career.
So are you now thinking about it in a way of like, I need to have like 5 to 10 DMs every day? Or is it just at this point, because you just have so much volume, you're just kind of keeping it up at this point?
So at this point I am, but in the beginning I called it my 5-5-5 rule, and I didn't make it up. I heard it from some master class I took, but I do 5 every morning. I told you I do it every morning, every night. Every morning I do 5 DMs, 5 comments, like real comments on someone's post, not like the heart emojis, and then 5 new connections. So if somebody shows up in my explore page, it's like a local restaurant, follow them. Or if I went to an event at my girls' school, maybe one of the moms shows up in my feed. And then I do it. I used to do it once a day. I started doing it twice a day. So in the morning and in the evening. 5 DMs, 5 real comments, and 5 new connections. And I would like check it off that I did my 5-5-5 every single day. Now it's keeping up, honestly.
Yeah.
But if I ever kind of feel like my conversations have died down in my DMs, I just pick up my 5-5-5 rule again. And it's something with social media, people have a habit of, and it's designed that way, where we get sucked in and we find ourselves like doom scrolling and we're the ones scrolling. And for me, I don't want to use it as a distraction from what I need to do. I want to use it as a leverage and a tool to get the connections I need to. So I'm in and I'm out. Like of course I look at what other people are doing because I'm curious, but I won't stay on there for hours. I'm like, I found my 5 people I want to comment on. I found 5 new exciting things my friends are doing. I'm stoked. So-and-so's having a baby. So-and-so's in Italy, and so-and-so just got promoted. Cool. I'm so happy for all of them. I'm done. I'm sure there's a million other people who are also doing something great, but I don't have time for that right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll catch them on the next scroll.
One, you're keeping social media actually social in a world where it's kind of gone non-social.
Yep.
And then also there's a saying of like, as a business owner, using social media as like business media instead of just like consumption.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hear stories of people who like get stuck on social media watching like people cleaning carpets because it's like so satisfying, which it is. And my kids, they watch these shows on YouTube that are all like that, what is it, MSR, what is it, where it's like the sound effects?
ASMR?
Yes, thank you. And they'll watch, and I mean, it's fascinating. I watch it, I'm like, wow, look at them making this cupcake out of Play-Doh. And it really is fascinating, but that's how it's designed, to suck you in. And you can spend hours on your phone if you're not careful. And I just, quite frankly, don't have that time in my life to spare. I have, a full-time job, a family, friends, and 2 young kids at home.
Yeah, the 2 young kids and the family just keep you up.
Totally. I mean, I barely watch TV, so let alone like being on social media for hours. And I think people think that too. They think that being on social media, they need to like search what's trending, what the other realtors are doing, and they spend hours when it's like, just post something. Because the reality is that no one actually really maybe is listening. They're listening to like a fraction of what you actually post, but it's just that you're staying top of mind, that they see you every day consistently showing up for your community, your network, and your people.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing with like social media, with farming, all of it's staying top of mind. So it's like when the time comes, you become the person.
Exactly.
And
exactly, because people aren't buying houses every day, but when they are, they need you. And if you're there every single day, you're going to be the first person they think of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to touch, because you brought up YouTube and you have an interesting story around it. But before that, I was curious, do you have any like crazy or wild story about like a big client, someone that you would not expect came from like your Instagram, or just some type of like cool client story?
You know, I'm trying to think a cool client story. I mean, from Instagram, really what the most rewarding thing has come from Instagram for me, which shocked me, because when I started Instagram, I did start it to reach out. How do I touch my clients? Because I went from, I told you, being like shut down in the pandemic. The craziest thing that's happened to me from Instagram is the friendships I've made. Like genuinely true colleagues and friendships, and people that I admire and look up to, and was like, how do I ever sit at a table with them? And now I am. And that's like, that has blown my mind. The people that I've looked up to through the social media world, DMing me and telling me that they love seeing what I'm doing. And I'm like, me? Wow, okay. So it's, that I would say is probably the craziest. Like big time people that I'm like, whoa, like they follow me. You
Nice.
know, the clients, it's clients, but the genuine friendships and the people I've got to mingle with, it has been just insane to me.
Yeah, because the reason I ask, because having 30% of $50 million come from social media is a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, definitely. So. Yeah. You know, I mean, we're in the Bay Area. My average price point's, you know, 1.3 million. So it is, but it's genuinely, truly the people that come through my DMs. What is wild about this, actually, not so much anymore, but in the beginning. And it's funny because it's very similar to my first year. So I started real estate 10 years ago. My first year in real estate, I sold 17 homes. And I was taught by my mentor to make a list of everyone that I know, that if she were to go up to them and say, do you know Amanda El Hassan? Not if I went up to them and was like, remember me, if she did. And they're like, yeah, I went to high school with her, whatever. And she said, and then I want you to call 5 people a day and let them know that you're in real estate. And I'm like, are you telling all your mentees to call 5 people a day? She's like, yeah. I'm like, then I'm gonna call 10 people a day. I'm Amanda. I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. So I did, and it's funny because I didn't sell a single home my first 6 months in real estate. I sold 17 homes my last 6 months in the game. Not a single one of those sales was from someone on that list, but every single sale came from a referral from someone on that list. So They were like, hey, I'm not selling right now, but my uncle is. So it's so funny because in the DMs, I'll be really honest, it's not like strangers sliding into my DMs.
Yeah.
It is now at the level I'm at, but it's a small percentage of it. It's people that see me and are like, hey, my aunt just inherited her, you know, her grandma's house, whatever. She needs to sell it and she's out of the area and doesn't have a realtor in the area. Can you help her? It's people that I know, that trust me, that follow me, that know me, that are coming in and saying, hey, I know someone, or can you help? Or like, hey, someone in my mom group mentioned that they need to sell their house and I dropped your name. I just want to let you know. So it's really interesting when you look at social media or any sort of marketing when you do it. And I'm really into data. How many of those people are those actual people that you're, let's say, door knocking or cold calling, or your door knocking, cold calling social media is obviously working and creating trust that people are referring you other people.
Yeah, it's basically building the trust at scale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of wild when you look at the numbers and where my clientele comes from.
Do you have an email database, but you struggle staying consistent with your email marketing? Email marketing is still one of the most under-leveraged marketing platforms, yet it has the highest return on investment. For every dollar you spend, you get 36 to 1 ROI. So if you want to profit more from your marketing, you need a local email newsletter. So that's why we created the local email newsletter playbook that breaks down Ryan Snaden's entire Naptown Scoop playbook and how he built it from 0 to 30,000 email subscribers and makes over $320,000 every single year. It breaks down his entire strategy, not just for his local newsletter, but also how he grew the media company to over $500,000 every single year. It goes through his content strategy, how he grew. It goes through his entire team, how he hires, his monetization, everything. So if you want the $320,000 local email newsletter playbook, click the link in the description below. Download it now. It's completely free. It has over 21 pages behind how he built his entire media company. So click the link in the description and download now.
When you look at because now at like 50 million, to be able to do all of this, like you're not doing everything like yourself. Like you have a part-time like admin, you have videographer. Like what systems do you put in place? Do you film like once a month? Like how do you put those systems in place so it's like you're not doing everything and you're a little more leverage on some like the media, the marketing side?
Yeah, so I'll be really honest with you. That's actually something I really struggle with is leverage. I told you being controlling. I did not hire a single person until actually I just hit a year that I hired my first person, and it was to the point where my broker pulled me aside and was like, "You're gonna experience burnout if you don't." It was last June. I put 14 million in contract just in June,
Jeez.
and I did not have a single employee. It was just me, and not even like a virtual assistant. And she pulled me in and was like, "You have to change." And I did, and I've leveraged, and putting the right people in place really helps. I kind of thrive in chaos, but I do try to batch everything I do. So I, film twice a month and just get it all out of the way. I'm in my stories every day because it's easy for me to just pop up my phone and follow along. But yeah, going from that level to what I did, it was chaotic, and I don't recommend doing it for, a solid couple of years. But I'm one of those people, it's kind of crazy. I was averaging making 300-ish grand a year. And I remember one night looking at my husband, and it was the last week of December. So the new year was gonna start, and we're sitting on the couch, and I turned to my husband, and I said, "I'm gonna make $1 million next year." And he looked at me and I said, I'm gonna make $1 million next year from my income, not our investments. And he's like, "That's insane. You make less than a third of that right now. How do you scale your business?" And I did. And I feel like I'm one of those people that when I have a clear goal, I have tunnel vision towards it. So for me, before I hired staff, I wanted this and I knew everything I had to do, and I just made it work. I worked extremely faster. I multitasked. I figured it out. Now that I've leveraged, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner, and I have so much more time and freedom. But what I've really learned is instead of selling more, which I can, it's really allowed me to have just more balance and be with my family more, which has been one of the most beautiful things in leveraging, is that I get to be with my family more, because
that's huge.
I wasn't for a while. My husband was more like a single dad, which was really sad. And so, and that's been the most rewarding part in leveraging, is being there. I have 2 young girls. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they are at an age where they really want their mom. And now I can be there for them, which is really cool.
So if you were to talk to kind of like your younger self at like that 300K a year that wants to go from 300K to $1 million a year, what are the 3 to 5 things that they should do in their business, put in place in their business, things that it's like, if you do these things, you can at least maybe get to that point. It's not guaranteed, so.
I know. I'm like, I just did it. I make it sound so easy. I understand that it's not. Honestly, truly, be so clear on your goals. And I break them down to like, okay, if I want to sell this much, my average price point's this. This is what I need to sell every month. This is what I need to sell every week. And then break it down to like your conversion rate. How many phone calls does that make? But for me, anything that didn't align with where I was trying to go, I just didn't. I stopped going out as much. I stopped, just anything that didn't align with what I wanted to do, I didn't do. And then I started realizing that because I like to be social, I can make my social life around my career. I can go out and mingle with other colleagues, other people, other events where I meet clients. So you have to figure out a way to really intertwine those two. But truly, it's as simple as do what you say you're gonna do. If I tell you I'm gonna send you comps, or I'm gonna send you the value of your home tonight, and it's 10 p.m. and my children struggle getting to bed, and I did 10 showings and filmed social media that day, and I told you that I'm gonna do it, I don't care how tired I am, I'm gonna sit for the 15 minutes and just bite the bullet and do it, because if I don't, somebody else is going to do it. And my thing I always say is I'm not competitive with like the super successful, like big dogs out there. Like they've done it and I want to like have dinner with them. I'm not trying to be them. I'm competitive with the new guy who's so thirsty and eager that he's going to take my job if I don't do it. Like that's who worries me, not the big guys. The big guys.
Kind of interesting and smart.
Yeah. The big guys, like they got their thing. They're not trying to come after my little Livermore business. I want to I don't want the new guy who's like has so much energy and he's like, wow, I'm like, and like he doesn't have 2 kids at home and he's not pushing 40 and that's who scares me. So
but if you're always kind of afraid of the new person, then you're always going to be thinking of like, what are they doing? Or like, how can I outcompete them? And it's going to keep you hungry too.
Yeah. And it's not that I'm afraid. It's that if I don't do it, somebody else will. And so like, that's really, really what it boils down to. Like if I'm not doing it, there's people who will do it. And so like, I just have to do it. So like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And so like, but it's truly too about like aligning like who you can help. Like we mentioned earlier, like picking your kind of clients. Like I don't take on ever 2 buyers who have the same criteria because like, imagine if I have 2 buyers that then want to write on the same home. Like, how do you do what's best for your client in that situation? So when I interview a new buyer, I ask them, what are your criteria? And if I can't, I'll be like, I'm going to refer you to someone who is going to take care of you. And of course I'll refer them out, but I don't take on 2 buyers that are looking for the same criteria.
Some might that comes from like an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
The other side would be a little more scarcity around, well, what if the other one doesn't like close and then I lose both and I don't make any money?
Yeah, but so my whole life, it's funny because my husband and I are so opposite in this. We grew up very differently and we just have very different views on life. I live in an abundance mindset. Like he's constantly like, we need to save. And I'm like, no, let's spend it. Money's so easy to make. We can make more. It's fine. And he's like, no, Amanda, we need to save. Like, what if something happens? I'm like, we'll just go make more money. It's fine. And so like, that's kind of just the way I feel like everything, there's an abundance out there. There's an abundance of clothes. Look at like how much our world is being poisoned by clothes. There's an abundance of food. There's an abundance of people. There's an abundance of money. Like you just go get it or somebody else's. And so like, that's kind of just like my philosophy on everything that I do.
It's good when you use it in a healthy way.
Yeah, I guess so. I just feel like it's so easy to just make more money. I mean, you can walk dogs and make more money. You can do anything. I mean,
yeah. Well, I say like money's kind of like digits in a bank account. It goes up and down as long as you're doing the right things and you use it in the right way and like you have a healthy way of doing it. Yeah. You can have an unlimited
100%. 100%.
Level, so.
I think the more like you hold on to something tighter, the more it's like people, the more you put pressure on them and hold on to them, the more they're going to like want to like break free, right? The more you're like, whatever, they're going to stick around. Exactly. So I guess like that's how I view money.
So before getting to like the investment side, because that's where you're like really skilled and you've kind of built a kind of like a niche in a way around that side.
Yeah.
I feel like the YouTube deal kind of is a like capstone around a little bit of everything that we talked about. Yeah. Like it's the right person, like it's a higher end. And what ended up happening is you did super hyper local content in Livermore and you were focused on even also South Livermore. Yeah. A lot of people, again, going back to what I said earlier, they're afraid of going hyper local.
Yes.
So can you kind of share that story a little bit?
So for me, I'll be really honest, my reason of wanting to go hyperlocal is mainly, again, going back to work-life balance, and I have my kids at home, and I want to be able to just go and do an open house, and it's right down the street than driving an hour, hosting an open house for 3 hours, and then driving home an hour. So I started doing YouTube content, and I was very clear that I wanted my YouTube content to be about Livermore. I didn't want it to be Tri-Valley, East Bay. I wanted it to be about Livermore. So maybe less than 2 months in, I get a text message and it's a client that says, my name's blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for a property in Livermore. I saw that you know a lot about Livermore. And of course, obviously it's a text message, a random stranger. And so, I set up a Zoom buyer consultation. And of course I asked, how'd you find me? And he said that he was looking up Livermore and YouTube came up and one of my videos came up. And then he saw that I had a bunch of posts about Livermore and that I must know more than anyone about Livermore. And I'm like, totally. I know more about Livermore than anyone. Kidding. But I know quite a bit about Livermore, obviously. And so it's fascinating because for that transition to happen in less than 2 months, just goes to show that like you don't have to be scared of being hyper local or hyper focused. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a city. It could be, I only want to do new construction.
Yeah.
I only want to do luxury, whatever it may be. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't, if you're doing luxury, you can't go sell a condo or vice versa. But if you're putting out there that you're that focused on it, those people are going to come to you, and eventually that starts being your clientele. Just like when I did hair and I specialized in lived-in blondes, I started putting that out there, and then eventually all the other clients, you just start getting booked with those kind of clients. So I understand people's fear in being hyper-focused, whether it be on a type of property or a location. But again, it goes back to that like abundance mindset that there are enough homes in Livermore and buyers and sellers in Livermore that if I pivot and completely focus on Livermore, California, I'll still have enough business.
Yeah, and I think that kind of talks to like any marketing. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you are specific on like what you're doing, you're gonna attract the right people.
Yeah.
Because all brand is an association.
Exactly.
And you just want to be associated with Livermore.
Exactly. It's kind of like, what's that saying? I'm going to butcher it, but it's like if you try to sell to everyone, you'll sell to no one or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You have to really be like, have so much almost like delusional
Confidence.
conviction in like what you want to achieve that people can't help but come to you if you can fix their problem. So like if I am like delusionally bad, like I'm advertising the South Livermore magazine, I'm making content every week about Livermore, 20-minute videos about Livermore. I mean, for 2 months now, how much can you talk about one city? But you can, and I've got so much more to go. And so it's like, it's like I'm borderline delusional in my belief that I'm gonna take over Livermore. And so it's like, so people who need help in Livermore, I feel like eventually they can't help but come to me for that help.
Yep.
And that's where I'm branding myself. And it with anything, like you said, it'll click, and it already is.
That's a smart like branding play.
Yeah.
So is to go hyper local, because then that's gonna also, the specialists end up being luxury and higher end too.
Yeah.
So it ends up getting you higher clients as well.
Yeah.
So you've taken a passion in investing in real estate, and you can see that like anyone, doesn't matter where they're at, should invest in real estate. And then especially agents, when you're making money, it's like, what do you want to do with the money? Put in the business, real estate? Like, first, like, why are you so passionate in it? And like, what has it done for you?
Yeah, so I mean, this is gonna sound terrible, but I mean, I'm passionate because I like money. But I mean, really the reality is that like we talked about earlier, I was a hairstylist. I didn't go to college. I did, but I didn't graduate. I was a hairstylist. I was $50K in credit card debt, just like trying to keep up, liking all the clothes. I still like clothes, but now I buy them because I can afford them. Before I didn't. And excuse me, for me, investing, I don't have your typical job where I have a 401k, where I have to make those choices and do that. And I want to retire. I want to like travel on the beach with my husband at a younger age than older. And I want to be able to put my kids through college if they want to go. And I want to be able to take that vacation and stay in the nice hotel instead of staying in the, not so nice hotel. So for me, I'm really passionate about it, but I became passionate about it once I realized I could. I never thought these things were possible for me.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd even own a home. I'm telling you, I was $50K in credit card debt and like my car was getting repoed. And I was afraid to tell anyone. And so I bought my first home. It's a wild story, but I tell people it because I feel like when you share the specific numbers, it actually makes people realize like I can do that.
Yeah.
So I bought my first home. It was a townhome for just under $500,000. back in 2016. And my husband and I each had $7,000 each. That's it. We just scraped up every penny we could for that and put it towards, so $14,000. And then I deferred my commission towards the down payment. Now I understand that not everybody has that luxury of deferring their commission, but I did, so I utilized it. And because I brought the buyers, right? So I got paid. Then we were still like $5,000 short from our down payment that we needed to be. So we actually took a 1% higher interest rate with the lender to give us that $5,000 at the closing cost. And it's wild looking back, like that's what we did, but we did. And the home was a fixer-upper. We lived in it for 2 years and fixed it up ourselves the entire 2 years, blood, sweat, and tears, sold it 2 years later and walked away with $187,000 profit.
Jeez.
Then we put that into the house, our next house. And then that was also a fixer and we fixed it up. And then when everybody was refinancing at 2.5% interest rates, we did, and we had a ton of equity in the house because they reevaluated our house with all of our upgrades, and we took out a line of credit against our house, and that's how we bought our first Airbnb. And so then that Airbnb, after the mortgage, profited about $2,000 to $4,000 a month, depending on the month. And I manage it, so we didn't have to pay managing fees and save money there. And we slammed the money down on the HELOC, the equity we took out from our house to leverage it to pay it off. Now we don't have that payment. Now we're making more money every month. Then we do it again. Then we do it again. So.
And how many are you at now?
2, but we're going to do it again. But we also just made a decision, a personal decision to buy our dream home instead of buying our next 2, which was, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because our previous home was, we were bursting at the seams. It was small. And that's what we did. We made that sacrifice too. We lived super modestly to buy these investments. Like for what I make now, we were living in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square foot home with 2 kids and a dog. And we just moved now to a normal family size home. And when I used to tell people that, they just couldn't fathom that where I'm at in my career, lived in a home that size. But we did that purposely because it was either buy our dream home or buy an investment property that's going to set us up for the future. Now we can leverage those 2 properties. We don't have to leverage our primary residence and pull money out of those ones because there's equity in those to buy the next one. And now we have our dream home. And now we can afford the mortgage on our dream home because we have those 2 properties bringing us money every month. So it's just about moving your money around and leveraging your money. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I'm going to get emotional, can't believe when I wake up every day in my new house that like, I get to live there. And so, but I do because I made sacrifices and worked really hard and made my money make me more money. And so if I can do it, anyone can do it. I promise you. And now we're in a position where we can, and it's really cool. And watching that domino effect, and it's like the first 2 are hard, but then it's just so easy to just start collecting them. It really is like Monopoly. And that's the goal. We plan to, do at least 10 more in the next few years and just keep.
So if all this stuff in the podcast sounds great, but you don't have any time and you need help with your marketing, we helped grow over 30 of the top real estate YouTube channels across the country, build local newsletters and build local brands and manage everything completely full service. So if you want to talk marketing strategy or just know how you can profit more from your marketing, just click the link in the description below, book a strategy call, and we could talk about how you can profit more from your marketing.
So for someone who didn't really graduate college, was $50K in credit card debt, how did that feel walking into that dream home?
Surreal. Totally emotional. It's watching your hard work pay off in like something tangible is really cool. It's not a car, it's not a boat, it's not a new pair of shoes. It's a lifestyle for my kids. It's the neighborhood. It's the school that we're zoned for. It's the yard that my husband gets to, build a shop in. The 3-car garage now, and he can bring home his old car that's been in his grandma's shop and work on it. It's, that I can have my dream walk-in closet. And I know these are all materialistic things, but it's more than that. It's how my girls have their own room. They can run around in the backyard for hours. We have fruit trees now in the yard, and they're helping me make dinner with them. And it's just if you don't reward yourself for working so hard, what is the point?
Yeah.
And so I'm a big believer. I'm very big in setting goals, and I'm very big in setting my rewards. So I constantly, every 6 months, have a vacation planned, because if I don't, I'm self-employed. I don't have a boss telling me, good job, you met your quota, you hit your goal, you exceeded your goal. If I don't have something to look forward to, why am I going to get out of bed and work so hard every single day? So I'm big in goals and I'm big in rewards. And this home is the biggest reward ever.
Yeah, because for a lot of like high achievers, high performers, the finish line keeps moving.
Yes.
It's like it just keeps getting further, and it's like if you don't enjoy the journey, it's like what's the point of the finish line?
Exactly.
Because once you get there, it's like cool, great. What's the next thing?
Yep. So my husband gets frustrated with me because every time we're on vacation, like the last day we're there, I'm sitting out by the pool or wherever we are on like my laptop, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm booking our next vacation." And so, sorry, just fell down. I'm booking our next vacation, and he's like, "What do you mean you're booking our next vacation? We're on vacation." I'm like, "Yeah, but if I don't have the next one lined up, then why am I going to work so hard for the next 6 months?" And so again, it is like you said, every high achiever, it really is. You have to reward yourself, and you have to not just set goals to achieve. You have to set rewards for yourself. And so like, obviously I have, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, 20-year goals. I want to be able to put my kids through college, but like I also have like 6-month goals and rewards and year rewards, which keeps me moving forward.
Yeah. So if people want like more of you, where should they go to follow you?
Follow me at Amanda Hassan, just my name. That's my name on YouTube, on Instagram, or you can email me at hello@sellwithaeg.com.
Nice. You should go follow her. And then so being like a mom now, and being a like female entrepreneur, business owner, and you have a lot of big goals, how do you want to like kind of translate what you've learned being a business owner to your kids so that they can achieve the goals that they want?
My only goal for my kids is that they're happy and that they always feel safe and loved.
That's good.
I am a daughter of 2 immigrants, and they came here and made the most beautiful life for my brother and sister and I. Like, we were so blessed. We vacationed, we had a beautiful roof over our heads, we lived in a beautiful community, and you can do it. You can do anything you want. Being a Middle Eastern American, a child of immigrants, a female, and not even having a college degree and accomplishing what I have, my girls can accomplish anything they want, but I only want them to do it if they're happy. And so, there obviously is a double-edged sword with that. I'd be lying if I said that there are not times that I look in the mirror, talk to my husband, and wonder if I'm setting my kids up for disappointment.
That's the hardest.
Because like seeing a mom like me, and is it going to make the pressure and make them feel like what they have to accomplish is so high? And I just don't care. I really don't. I don't want them to be like me. I really don't. I want them to just be happy and safe, but I want them to know they can do anything. And if that's choosing to have a career or choosing to stay at home and raise a family, I want you to always be in a position that you can make that choice because you made that choice. I choose to do this because it's something that I wanted to do. I'm not forced to do this. I don't have to force to work this hard. I'm not forced to stay at home if that's what I chose. I'm choosing what makes me happy, and that's all I want for them. I want them to see that mom's doing what makes her happy, because at the end of the day, a good mom is a happy mom.
And that's important, because there's a difference of parenting and wanting your kids to do one thing and saying, you have to do this, you have to do this. The other thing is kind of like letting go a little bit. And you're obviously there, but it's like you're going to, whatever the road they decide, you're going to be happy for them.
Yeah, I literally don't, as long as they're good people, they're respectful to others, they're kind and caring, I literally don't care. I don't care if they go to college. I don't care if they do or don't go to college. I don't care if they do or don't have kids. I don't care if they do or don't get married. I literally just care that they're happy and they talk to me for the rest of their lives. They never leave me.
Well, they probably will.
I know. And then come back, just, be close to mom forever. I just want my kids to be happy. And I feel like so many of us get caught up in the rat race of the career, the life, the status, the car you're driving, and they forget to live in the moment. And I I do all this, everything I do, so that I can live in the moment, so that I can take these vacations with my kids and like just be there with them, so that my husband and I can retire early and run around on the beach together and laugh at like the crazy chaos we went through for 20 years to get there. But that's really what it's all about.